The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada now brings you Philippine NARS, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. And now, here's your host, Doris Bauer.
Well, good evening, Philippine NARS listeners and followers. Kumusta po kayo? I hope you are doing very well. Thank you for joining us today. And as you know, Philippine NARS is brought to you by the PNANV, or the Philippine Nursing Association of Nevada. And this is in collaboration with PHLV Radio. So thanks for joining us. Well, at Philippine NARS, we talk about health issues that affect our community. But health does not only mean physical health. It can also mean financial health. So, as we know, we are in the midst of this pandemic. And regardless of the current health effects of the COVID-19 on you or your family, this pandemic has affected and most likely will continue to affect the household finances for years to come. And so today we are going to talk about finances and COVID. And we have a financial expert to talk about this today. So please welcome Mr. Derek Uehara.
Hi, Doris. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's been a long time coming. Been wanting to invite you for a while. So Derek is the president and CEO of Uehara Financial Group, correct?
Uehara Financial and Longevity Planning.
And Longevity Planning. Yes. Okay, I forgot that. Yeah. Okay, Derek, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get into financial planning?
Yes, absolutely. Happy to talk about that, Doris. I think my temperament has a lot in common with you and a lot of your colleagues, right? And that is, we care about people. Right. We want to help people. And we're so blessed to have that part of our nature there. So the exciting part is finding a way to help people and to give back. In your case, it's through healthcare. In my case, I care about people. I like numbers. I'm also very curious about a lot of things. So, for example, what's happening in other parts of the world. Right. The impact of different trends, including innovation and technology. And this field of financial planning allows me to do all of that. I get to work with people and make a difference. I get to deal with numbers, and I get to be curious. I get to pursue my curiosity about all the great things happening in this world. So I feel, again, very blessed to have a profession that allows me to use what I've been given, in the cause of making a difference. Right. Yes, we know that about you. You're out there with financial planning. So what is your philosophy? Well, my philosophy when it comes to financial planning is to do two things. Really, plan for tomorrow and live your today.
Nice.
And I came across that because I think we all understand life is so precious, right? And yet sometimes it's so easy to just get into the cycle of doing the same old thing, right? And not just physically, but mentally, right? Sometimes when you see people say, hey, what's new? A typical answer is what? Same old, right? I'm bored, right? And particularly for us living in America, we have the opportunity, the freedom to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So we should not be bored.
True.
Right? If we get bored, we got to look in the mirror and say, man, what am I not being curious about? Why have I just, allowed myself to get into this rut? And, obviously we all, may have times when that happens. But for me, because life is so precious, I bring that in concert with the idea of planning for tomorrow. I think most people would think, oh, financial planner, plan for tomorrow, just sacrifice for tomorrow. And that has some value, that has a lot of truth.
Sure.
But I also believe you got to find a balance, because today is all that we have. Right now is all that we have. So sometimes people can get into, that pattern of saying tomorrow, someday we'll do it. And what I like to do, what gives me passion, is to gently encourage people. Listen, if there's things you want to do, yourself, with your spouse, with your family, don't wait. Seize the day, because you may not have that tomorrow.
Correct.
So that's the two parts. Plan for tomorrow, live for today. Yeah. And what I try and do in my work is to free people up so that they can do the things that bring them passion. Like you, for example, ever since I met you, you have so much passion, right? So, I mean, in my mind, that's wealth, right? I mean, you love what you do, you have energy, right? You get to experience that. I like to work with people, in their financial, different areas, and hopefully we free them up so they can go ahead and focus on the things that really matter. Because again, life is precious, and we can't just take it for granted and assume you're going to be here forever.
Right. That's correct. Well, that's a great philosophy. Thanks for that. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been here, since 6:15, so about 3 minutes now we've been talking. No. I've been in financial services since 2000, so I'm beginning my 21st year.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's awesome. So what professions are the bulk of your clientele? Do you have clients in the healthcare field, like doctors, nurses?
Absolutely.
Sort of thing?
Absolutely. In fact, I've got, I would say 3 main areas, right? From a professional standpoint, we've got doctors, nurses, dentists, attorneys, professions like that. The second area, I have retired folks. And the third area is I work with organizations to manage their endowments. So really those 3 areas.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so, we are in the midst of this pandemic, and how would you say, what do you think, how has COVID impacted or changed financial planning?
Yeah, great question. From an investment standpoint, the market has done very well. So, that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, I read something else again today. They said life insurance purchasing has gone up. And particularly among younger folks, people that normally when you approach them, they may say, well, I'm going to live forever, right? And they don't think about that. But given COVID, people look around and say, going back to what I've been saying prior to COVID, you don't know.
You don't know. It's affecting younger folks now.
Absolutely. So life insurance has gone up. And of course, with employment challenges, people have to, look for other ways to supplement, the predictable cash flow they had prior to that. So I think it's brought more attention to the fact that financial planning, in my mind, it's about life. It's not just some boring thing that, I don't want to go talk to the planner. This is life, right? Finances are, it's not a matter of just having money. It's about, like I said, when you take care of those aspects, it frees you to do the things that give you passion.
Yeah.
Right. So it should not be avoided. It should be something you embrace, because the better hold you have on that, the more freedom you have.
Right.
To do this thing that we all agree, hey, not predictable. We don't know how long we're going to be here.
Right.
So they work hand in hand. So, in kind of, not necessarily a happy way, but because of COVID, it's made people focus on it more than they might have previously.
Right. And so, you were just now talking about some common financial issues. Can you expound more on that? What are some of the more common financial issues or problems that people are dealing with in this pandemic?
Well, I think one of them, it's allowed people, to realize what our system offers. I'm talking about America, and specifically with the capital markets. A lot of people feel like the markets, because of COVID, oh my God, this is a cause for fear, right? We should be afraid. And instead, I'll go back to the core. I'm digressing a little bit, Doris. So bear with me, please. I think part of what makes America great, we have, freedom, but along with that is we have an economic system, right, that provides the opportunity. Right. We have this economic engine. I mean, if America didn't provide people with financial opportunity, they wouldn't be coming to this country or wanting to get in like they do. Right. Yeah. So what is at the core? The core is we have a system that allows innovation, right, to create opportunity. So, for example, when you and I made arrangements to come today, I've got my iPhone. Right? And most everyone has one, right? I mean, have you run into someone lately who doesn't have a phone like this? Right? Kind of weird. I mean, how do you communicate?
It is weird.
Right?
It is weird.
This was only invented in 2004. Did you realize that? 17 years ago.
Yeah, right? and they're saying the iPhone has more capability than the first manned space that went up into space, the people that landed on the moon.
You're absolutely right. And that's innovation, right? I mean, technology makes things better. So we communicate with this, but we're becoming more and more dependent, right? I mean, I needed directions to get here, right? I don't have a map. I just, asked Siri to guide me here, and I got here, right? They have, to your profession, they have healthcare applications, right? You can measure your blood sugar, your heart rate, all of that. They're increasing it. They're making us more dependent on the phone, right?
I know, correct.
I mean, if you misplace your phone in the morning, I can't think of too many people who would choose to leave, right? They go, no, I have to find the phone.
That's true.
Right? So that's one example, right? But within healthcare, we're all looking towards the pharmaceutical companies, right, to come up with vaccines, right? The markets are allowing these companies to raise the money to do the research that's necessary. Right. So if anything, the market has done well during this time. So one of the challenges that I think, is a positive because of this is that people who may be, oh my God, I'm afraid, you gotta understand, what makes this country great is people who are willing to innovate, come up with solutions, new ideas, solve problems. And that's to the benefit of all of us. So, that to me is not really a problem. It's an opportunity to realize, hey, what really makes this country go? Right.
But sometimes you have to be careful too, because with technology like this, it is your phone. You can have an app for calls from your work and emails from your work, and then your personal stuff, and then you get dinged and dinged, and it just doesn't stop. So you have to, I guess, take a look at that also.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely. Well, I know you're really busy, so I know that's a challenge for you, right?
It is a challenge. No, it's like I sometimes turn off my notifications, when I go to bed at night, especially the ones that are in the messenger on Facebook from the Philippines or other countries who have a different, they're in a different time zone, and they keep digging at night because they're awake.
Wow.
So it's, I mean, it's nice to take a look at that also, but sometimes you have to I got to sleep.
Absolutely. But you don't sleep very much, right?
I guess not. So anyway, that's good. Yeah, technology has really gotten us a lot. That's great. So anyway, so how can you as a financial advisor help your clients to be prepared for emergencies like this?
Yeah, great question. And I think, going back to what we spoke about earlier, you and I and our professions have a lot in common. Another area where I think, we have that commonality is a lot of it is habits, right? So for you in your profession, for someone who takes care of him or herself, right, with their diet and exercise and having regular checkups and taking medication if necessary, they are probably in a better position to deal with COVID, right? Versus someone who hasn't taken care of themselves.
Correct.
COVID comes, oh my God, right? Because you have not had a lifestyle or the habits in place, you probably, are maybe a little more vulnerable. So the same thing applies with financial planning, right? This is something you want to be doing as just a regular part of your life.
Yeah.
So that when something like this happens, it's not fun for anyone, but you're in a better position than saying, oh my God, I'm starting from scratch. What do I do? So the simple things, and what people can do in terms of what I do with people is we sit down and, we take a great overall assessment. What is your situation? Where are you today? What are your goals? What do you want to do in life? Right? What's important to you? So we lay that out. And then we look at the resources that you have or the resources you want to acquire in order to get from today to tomorrow. Right? So that's kind of an overview. And some of that includes habits, right? So one thing that people, probably do or should do is to save regularly, right? And, if you're working, your company or organization has a 401k plan, you want to do it. Right? You just want to do it and have it set up like clockwork, right? Where you don't make a decision every time you get paid. That's already set up. You're doing it automatically. Right? Just like, we exercise regularly, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Or we eat certain foods regularly, just so that we're laying down the foundation. So that's a big part of what we do. It's not a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle and it's a habit. So that's the big thing. So for people who are doing it, great. And for people who, may have been thinking about it, now's a great time. Start doing it and begin incorporating it to make it a regular part of your life.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah. So a healthcare crisis such as COVID has actually caused high levels of unemployment and challenges with healthcare coverage. What advice can you give to someone who has lost their job because of COVID? They contracted it, they can't go back to work, or they got laid off, stuff like that. And now their employers are not able to provide for extended coverage. So what's your opinion on that, and how can you advise people?
That's a tough situation. Yeah. One thing they can do immediately, they want to go to NevadaHealthLink.com, and it's a timely issue. You have 30 days from when your employer may have ended healthcare coverage to sign up. So for anyone listening out there, please take a note of this, NevadaHealthLink.com.
Yep.
Go on there to look at some of the other options. In a traditional employer situation, the employer is subsidizing the healthcare costs, right? The minimum is 50%.
Yeah.
And when you go to some other programs, then it's going to be, the government subsidizing part of that. But go to that site immediately to look at the options that are available.
Yeah, well, that's NevadaHealthLink.com. That's a good link right there. But there are a lot of employers that really can't even afford this. The small businesses, and it's really been tough all the way around. So the government does have some help out there. So it's good to take advantage of that. So are you aware of any financial scams during this COVID times? I bet there's a lot of them, huh?
The good news and bad news, Doris, is that I'm not. And I say that good news in the sense that, a lot of, what I deal with is legitimate, right? So I have not encountered that. I've just seen, articles in the paper where they mentioned that. But I want to, for the listeners out there, talk about the importance of participating in organizations like that you're involved with, Doris, right? The Philippine nurses, right? Because you have a network of information of people who are out and about, and you want to get information from people that you trust. So I think you bring up a good point. It's a tough time. It's a vulnerable time for folks. So again, going back to what we talked about in terms of having habits, health habits, financial planning habits. Yeah. You want to have good relationship habits, right? Yeah. So again, if you're in touch with people like Doris, right? Doris can say, "Hey, listen, let me steer you this way," or speak to so-and-so because he or she maybe can help you. That's kind of what you want to do. And again, it's not something you start now, right? And say, well, I haven't networked. I haven't been in touch with community groups.
Right.
This needs to be an ongoing part of your life, of our lives, right? We have to be in touch with each other, right? So that we can get together and do that. A quick one, I'll mention my wife. You asked about Jenny, and these are the early days of PPP, and I think most people know this now, but at the time this was new. So when the program first came out, right, government did a good job, but no one knew what to do, right?
Correct.
So everyone's reaching out to the big banks, and because she's in touch with different networks, one of the speakers said, "Hey, listen, you guys, you need to go to your local banks, your small banks, get away from the big ones." So she was so excited, she immediately went and got funding from a bank that is in our town. We've never heard of this bank. Never heard of it, right?
Wow.
But they were able to make it happen. And then she went, shared that information, with the various networks she's involved with. And people said, "Oh my God," right? Simple information like that.
Correct.
That was so useful, so helpful.
Yeah.
So again, the principle, I think, stay in touch with people like Doris, right? Who can give you good advice and guide you, because unfortunately, there's so much good about the human race, but there's some elements sometimes that people do things that you're like, so get information and get advice from people that you know and trust.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, networking with organizations, community groups, that's, really encourage. I do encourage that as well. Like with the community groups, sometimes, there are community groups out there that would have food for those in need in this COVID times. We even have at PNANV a prayer group wherein we find out what's going on out there. I mean, where's the vaccine? Or where is it available at this time? How many of the members are suffering? And then how can you actually help them? So networking is, really a good thing.
Well, let me, share the kudos with you, Doris. We talked about innovation earlier. And what you just shared with me, your organization's innovating, right, to meet needs. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's why, for people out there, the bigger point for all of us, we talked about health, we're talking about finances, we're talking about networks. During this time of COVID, I think it's easy for people to kind of pull back and isolate themselves, right? I mean, you're at home, maybe you get lazy. You're at home, you don't go to events anymore. Maybe this call, we can encourage all our friends and family, do the opposite. Right?
Yeah.
If you haven't been taking care of yourself from a health standpoint, what better time than today? Start taking care of yourself.
That is correct. I mean, I haven't gone to the gym since this COVID thing started, so that is really bad. And I have a tough job too. So, but that is something that is available out there. There are virtual workouts out there that you can help yourself with, or others, join others. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's good.
So the health, and then we talked about the financial planning. If you haven't done it, now's a good time. And then the third area that we've just touched on is the networking, right? If you've kind of pulled back, log back in, see what the various organizations are doing and participate, because information, right? I mean, there's no uniform way it comes out. Again, go back to PPP. The government did a good thing. Nobody knew how to access it. It took people talking to each other and say, hey, what do you do? What did you hear? And we got to help each other out.
Right.
And so if you've been pulling back, I'm just not going to do it. Great time, reconnect with Doris and her organization so that you can say,
or
hey,
Derek
listen.
there.
Or Derek, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So what do you know? Right? Keep me posted, because information is key.
Hey, PHLV Radio has a lot of networks out there too, with the different groups of people that come in here. So call Johan. That's our producer out there. Okay. I'm so glad there's not a lot of, I thought maybe you would come up with a lot of financial scams, but I think.
I'm sorry, I hope I'm not disappointing you.
No. I'm so glad. Actually, the only thing that was for me was, prices have actually gone up already. Like when the Clorox wipes were no longer available on the shelves, I was like, man, I'll be so glad when the Clorox wipes, appear on the shelves again to be bought. And so I was like looking the other week, hey, they were over there. A small Clorox wipes cost like 300% more than what it was before. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So anyway, but it's not a scam, but oh well, it's needed. So
absolutely.
Okay. You're into savings and all that. In what ways has COVID affected someone's retirement savings, and what can they do?
Yeah, in terms of the savings, it goes back to one of those habits that you want to establish, right? Where you just automatically save. It's not a decision you make each time you have income. It's just done. So for people who are still employed, continue doing that, right? Continue that program. For those who are in transition right now, they have
to tap into their.
You might have to tap into it, right? And it is what it is. There have been some adjustments made, through Congress where if you've been affected by COVID, you can tap into some of your retirement money without being penalized. So,
Right.
I think it's great that our policymakers have been sensitive to the reality that this has affected a lot of people. But, again, I think maybe the takeaway for us is there's, to be a human being, right, on planet Earth, there's always going to be something happening.
Yeah.
Right. I'll go back
Correct.
to, when was it? When President Obama was going for his second term of election, people were, oh my God, what does this mean? Oh, I'm afraid, right? Maybe I should,
Yeah.
stop saving. His election came and went. Right. Then they worried about what was going to happen. After, when we had the Great Recession, we realized, oh my God, right?
Right, right.
And then you had 2016, right? Donald Trump or Hillary. Oh, I'm worried about that. And then you got Russia, right? And then it's China, and then it's North Korea. Now it's COVID.
Yeah.
You see a pattern.
Yeah.
There's always going to be
There's
something.
always gonna be something,
right? So
right?
what we as humans, I think the best thing for us to do is figure out the best habits, whether it's from a health standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a network standpoint, and stay the course.
Yeah.
Just stay the course. You don't change these things because of what's happening out there. And it seems like the folks out there who, are in good positions, that's part of what they practice, right? Have the habits and just stick with them, right? It's like, as parents, we try and encourage our children to have good character.
Right.
You be honest. Go the extra mile. Right? Say please. Say thank you. Right. You show respect. You don't change that based on what's happening. Right. This is just who you want to be.
you wanna be.
So that's the point I would put out there. So if anything, again, this is an opportunity. It's a time. The world has changed, right, because of COVID. With change, you can be upset about it, or it can be an opportunity.
Yeah.
It can be an opportunity. If there are things that you've been meaning to do and haven't been doing it for whatever the reason, now you got a great reason to do it.
Yeah.
To
Correct.
start the things that we're talking, the habits, and put those in place.
Good. Yeah, that's great. What about the stock market? With the COVID, should you stop investing on the stock
What do you
market?
think
I
I'm
am
gonna
not a
say, Dora?
stock market. I don't know you. I know you're going to say, of course you have to do it.
Yeah, I'm bullish on the stock market just because we talked about this earlier, right? About the role of innovation. Again, for anyone who says, well, I don't know sure if I agree with this guy, look at your phone, right? This did not exist prior to 2004. But, and now, because of the creativity, innovation, and the stock market, which made the funding possible to do all of this, we can't live our lives without it.
Yeah.
Just one example of it. And again, look at COVID. Where are these vaccines coming from? I'm not in my kitchen trying to make something up. No. You need billions of dollars to do research, right? To test these things. The stock market's making it possible. And, the day to stop being in the market is when you feel we've lost all our innovation, right? We've just quit. And that's not where we are. You got people every day working to create new ideas and new solutions and new opportunities for all of us. So, how about Amazon?
Yeah.
Doris, let me ask you, do you get things delivered to your house ever?
Every day.
Every day. Okay, you're more than
well,
me.
My son does that.
Every day, right? Think about that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to digress a little bit. There was a Malaysian comedian, maybe a year ago, I first saw it. And his whole point was, he goes, Americans want things now. It's never soon enough.
Yeah.
And I thought he was exaggerating a little bit, but his point was, we've become spoiled.
We
right?
have. We certainly have.
Right. And with Amazon, when it first started out, they said, well, we'll get it to you in 2 days. Like, I don't need it in 2 days.
I want it now.
But now we got to the point where if it's more, I go, well, why is it taking so long? Right? And, I'm not being greedy. I'm just saying they've conditioned us to expect it sooner. That's technology. That's innovation.
Yeah.
Right. And so we want to be part of that. And that's what the market allowed. The market allows new ideas to be created and to come to market so we all can benefit from it.
Yeah.
And particularly now, hopefully COVID, begins, becoming more effective. People have been cooped up for this past year. People want to get out. People want to travel. People want to go play. They want to spend. They want to see each other. They want to go to restaurants. They want to do things. Again, this is a general statement. Each individual should probably, sit down with someone like me, a financial planner, to find out about what applies to them specifically. But as a general statement, if you've got funds out there, you want to be invested, because once we get, the trend stops with COVID, things are going to take off. People are going to, there's going to be this surge of activity where companies are going to benefit. Right now, all the cruise ships, they aren't, they're in dock, right? Yeah,
they're in dock. They're not functioning.
Once we're clear, that's going to change, and it's going to be way quicker than any of us can predict. So, again, I'm optimistic, because of that. And, mainly because of, the innovation, the creativity. I
am optimistic too. I know a lot of people have said a lot of negative things about vaccine. I am a believer of vaccine, although some people are not. But to me, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. And for companies to have come up with, this vaccination, several companies have in a very short period of time, that's amazing to me. It really is amazing to me. So some of us older folks are still trying to catch up with technology. But anyways, okay. So how do you think that the pandemic has altered people's financial habits, how they spend and how they save?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw some other articles out talking about household savings rates have gone up. And it makes sense, right? We don't go out. You're not doing anything. Exactly. So people's financial situations are getting stronger. So that's a good thing, I guess, right? And so if, like we talked about earlier, if you've been thinking about the fact that maybe you've wanted to, get into financial planning a little bit more, now's a great time, right? If you're going to, you have this opportunity because of, world circumstances.
Right.
Great opportunity to take it seriously, to go a little bit deeper. And again, the key thing that we've discussed today is make it a habit. Make this a part of your life. It's not something you do just because it's just like brushing your teeth every day, right? You don't say, well, the sun's up, I'm going to brush my teeth. The sun's, hopefully, right? You just say, no matter what, I'm going to brush my teeth, right? So similar to that.
Yeah. I really miss going to the movies. That's me. Yeah, I do.
You watch Netflix?
I do Netflix, but, it's much better in a bigger screen, it has better impact. But yeah, I do. And you can only watch Netflix for so long. Yeah, I know there's been a lot of streaming services out there, but we'll see how it goes. So, where do you think people are spending more of these days and less of? Do you know?
Well, absolutely. Well, it's interesting, right? And that's why it's so exciting. In terms of what I do, in terms of looking at human behavior. We just talked about a lot of people saving more, right? And that's true. But you have other people who are saying, hey, listen, if I have to stay home, I'm going to make my house my kingdom. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go, and in fact, Home Depot and Lowe's, both of those companies are doing extremely well.
Really?
Because people are going and saying, hey, I've got to, fix the walls.
I can do it myself, right?
I can do it myself, fix the yard up.
Yeah.
So, that's another opportunity that's coming up. They have, a lot of people, you mentioned you haven't been to the gym, and you know what, Doris, neither have I. I stopped going like in March. I just said, you know what? I remember thinking, I don't know, and this was before, they shut it down. Better to be safe. So, I, work out at home, go to the park for, my walking and jogging and stuff. But a lot of people, our neighbor, he said he's turned his living room into a gym. Right? So people are, and there's more. We talked about technology, and this is where it all comes together. You may have seen the ads on television for Tonal. It's a workout system that you mounted on the wall and that type of thing. People are doing that. So exercise, remodeling their homes, online learning. This is also time if you're in between jobs. A lot of people are saying, hey, you can pick up additional skills. Go take some classes online. Right? Get prepared because the economy is changing. You know, so those are some areas that I've seen about. The other thing too has to do with food, and let's go back to technology again. Let's link it all together. Technology has made having great food at home so easy, right? It used to be if you wanted like a really good steak, you have to go to an expensive steakhouse. Now you can go to Costco, right?
Yeah,
they got the best meat there.
Sure.
I was there, last time, and I saw the little ad that said Wagyu steak, $99 a pound. And I looked at that. I kind of did, like you, I did a double take, like, what? And I reached out to touch it, and the price actually was $200. I said $200, but they had two steaks, so $100 each. But this was Wagyu steak, and that's a little too fatty for me. I don't want to, Doris. I kind of watch what I try and watch what I eat, and I tell you that. I don't want you to think, hey, Derek. But you can buy that, cook it at home.
Yeah.
You can buy prime steak. The best steak out there. You can buy it at Costco or other stores, right? These things are available. You can buy the best coffee in the world, the best chocolate in the world. It's dangerous, of course. You go to Costco because there's so many great things there. Again, technology, has made all of this, available to us. So that's another area that, people are spending on. So, let's link this back to financial planning, right? All these choices. Now's a good time, get with someone that you trust to look at these things. Where are you in your life? Number one, where do you want to go? And based on that, you can make some decisions, whether or not remodeling makes sense or, investing in equipment so you can exercise at home makes sense, or saying, hey, I'm gonna spend more money on the food that we eat, or about online learning to improve my skill set.
Right.
So there's opportunity there. Given COVID, this is really an opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Big opportunity, and a lot of people have sort of kind of reinvented themselves, which segues to the next question I want to ask you. In what ways are people trying to combat their income loss? Because I know a lot of people have lost their jobs out here, and it's difficult. It's tough.
It is, and it is a tough time. I think I come back to the idea of innovation and creativity. Right, and then we can have a whole session on this.
Yeah.
In terms of things that were once seen as a problem, how someone turned it into an opportunity, into a business, into a fortune, right? But because of what's happened right now, I think people, number one, if you have to look at your field, right? What is the job market like? Is it a growing profession? You're in a great one, obviously, healthcare, right? If it is, what you might want to do, we touched on this earlier, is make sure you're in touch with your networks, right? Because you'll hear about opportunities through that network. If you were in a profession that maybe, when you look at it, you realize they're doing away with the jobs or it's shrinking.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
This is an opportunity, right? There's an opportunity to find something else to do. And, not an easy journey, of course, but it's an opportunity to find something else to do. And there are a lot of opportunities for that, in terms of the environment. A lot of jobs are changing, right? To impact and to be more respectful of the environment. There are opportunities there, as an example. Janny, for fun, because we, use Amazon like you, Doris, right? Did you realize that Amazon, and for people listening, for the right person, a great opportunity, Amazon needs people to manage the delivery. So you've heard about that, right?
I do.
So she actually went on and watched it. And for someone who has good, strong management skills, you can work with Amazon and you would hire a team of people to use the vans to actually go out and deliver, right? And it's something that maybe people go, I never would. Well, maybe you never thought about that, but given what's happened, here's an opportunity. I mean, you get to be part of a company that is changing the world,
changing,
right?
Yeah, it's changing.
That's something you want to be a part of, and we're going to have more and more things delivered. Right now we get books. Well, they started with books. You can get clothes, other things, etc. They're moving into food, right? They bought Whole Foods a couple of years ago, and they're moving into pharmaceuticals to have your medications delivered, right? So Amazon, they have innovated and they're expanding, and they're trying to meet all kinds of needs that we all have. So for people looking for a career change, that's a company that is very attractive, right?
Yeah.
They're part of the future. You want to be part of something that's part of the future.
Exactly.
So that could be an opportunity. And there are others out there. So just a couple of quick ideas. And Jenny looked up Amazon and she says, man, for the right person, what an opportunity.
I was kind of thinking about that, and I'm like, I'm good with logistics. I'm good with scheduling. I'm good with that. I said, maybe this, I don't know, but anyway.
I agree. You nurses, I mean, you have incredible logistical and management skills, right?
Yeah, because sometimes, not that I want to, not be a nurse anymore, but sometimes it just gets so exhausting that what else can I do? Maybe it's something else that you can do. So you just gave me an idea for another episode, reinventing yourself
Absolutely.
in this COVID pandemic.
Absolutely.
That's good. I'm going to work on that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so, speaking of helping the public and the government, what is your opinion on the federal stimulus check, the previous one and the proposed one that's coming?
I think it's a great thing.
Great thing.
Right? I mean, you have people who are hurting, and God bless our government for doing something about it.
Yeah.
You can make the case. Well, we need more than that. Of course, everybody always needs. Everybody wants more, right?
Of course, correct.
But God bless them for doing that. So I think it's a positive thing.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I'm with you. What about home buying? I know the Las Vegas market hasn't really stopped or slowed down. Is it time to buy one? Should you be worried? What's your opinion on that? Yeah,
so I'll link this back, Doris, to, what I spoke about earlier in terms of, how I got into this profession. That third thing was curiosity. I'm curious about why we do what we do, why so many of us may do certain things. So when it comes to, the home buying issue, a couple of trends that come to my mind, right? A lot of people are relocating. Right? I was one of them 20 years ago. I came to Nevada, but people from California are leaving because of high taxes, right? People from northern states are moving south because it may be fun to deal with the cold when you're younger. You get a little bit older, you're like, hey. In fact, I have someone I'm talking to in New York, and we're supposed to talk this week. He says, can we talk Thursday, Friday? He goes, the snow just stopped. I'm going to spend all day shoveling it away. And, I sit here and I go, man, I feel so spoiled that today was a beautiful day in Las Vegas,
great
right?
weather.
And I just felt bad, but so a lot of people are making, that move, not only to Nevada, but more southern states. But for us locally, if you've been thinking about buying a house, it's a great opportunity to do it. Interest rates are very, very low.
Yeah,
right. So
low.
I think that trend is going to continue, right? Again, because they're leaving, higher tax states like California. They're leaving colder states to come south. So you're going to have people who are continually moving here, creating a market. If you want to buy a house and you're in a position to do so, great time to do it.
Great time to do it.
Yeah.
I just refinanced a couple of months ago, so that's good.
You got a lot of things to smile about. Huh?
Better interest rates, so that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, Derek, so let's wrap this up in looking at bullet points on what is your advice on how one can maintain financial health during COVID-19?
Yeah, let's go back to that key thing. I call it habits, right? Again, whether it's your health, financial planning, or your networks, get in the habit of doing the practices that will ensure, your health. So from a financial standpoint, meet up with a financial planner, right? To sit down and take it seriously. I know sometimes people say, well, I'll just do it myself. And if you can, great. But a lot of times for all of us, it's tough, right? I mean, when you sit down with someone else, you're almost committing and saying, I'm going to take this seriously, right? And I think that's a key thing, right? Just like exercise. Well, I'm just going to do it on my own. If you can, great. A lot of people have trainers, not because they can't figure out the exercise themselves, but the trainer is going to help make them do what they've committed to doing. So sit down with someone that can help you. Again, look at where you are, look at where you want to go, and then figure out what are the things you have to do to put yourself in that position.
Very good. Very good. Well, Derek, thank you so much, Mr. Derek Uehara, for gracing our program today. That was such great information. So good talking to you. That's great.
Thank you, Doris. And I want you to know how much I respect you and your members, right? Because, I nurses, you heal people. And that is one of the noblest things, that are part of the human experience. So thank you for all that you do to take care of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And so if our listeners want to contact you, what's the best way to do that?
You can email me or go to my website. My website is planningyourtomorrow.com. I'll give my phone number out as well, 702-575-1801. Call or text, and if I can help, be of service in any way, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, very good. So listeners, there's a thing that we flashed on the screen as well. It's not...
That's not my karaoke video, is it? Please don't.
No, but it's a little different. But you can contact Derek and his organization through this numbers right here. So, anyway, okay. Well, thank you again. And so to our listeners, there are a few suggestions out there to manage your financial health in times of crisis. And some of them are learning what the national and the local government is providing in these times of crisis. Learn about the possible hardship adjustments in financial and other contracts. Look for a financial planner and revisit your budget and readjust to manage to the conditions of this crisis, and find ways to manage your debt and watch out for fraud and look at your habits. But more importantly, take care of yourself and take care of your health. Thank you very much for listening. This is Doris Bauer, your Philippine Nurse host, signing off for now.
The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada has just brought you Philippine Nurse, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. Fridays, 7 p.m. on PHLV Radio.